Right, for further discussion on the indefinite suspension of some magistrate is UJ Law Clinic's Elton Hart. Good evening, Elton. Thank you very much for joining us on the late edition. So concerns have been raised around the inability to finalize cases of suspended magistrates. Just listening to that clip, 7 suspended magistrates are currently costing the country 31 million. And one of those magistrates has been on suspension since 2018, earning a full salary while his colleagues are struggling to manage cases in court. What do you make of all of this?
Now, for me, I lay that blame squarely in front of the door of the Magistrates Commission for dragging their feet. Because you can't spend 32 million approximately on salaries of people who's actually not working. And it's simple because they have to do their internal investigation, make a recommendation to the minister. Then the minister has 7 days to act, and another 14 days to then bring it to this selection committee in Parliament. And after that, another 60 days in which to actually sort of decide, are we removing or not removing? Yes, there can be spanner in the works where magistrates, who is the parties that is now sort of have charged with misconduct, or there's ill health or incapacity involved, that can actually bring court applications to stay the proceedings or the disciplinary proceedings against them. But you cannot tell me it takes 7 years. It means that these guys at the commission, maybe we should also look at taking away their salaries because they're not doing their jobs.
It's interesting that you place the blame squarely at the feet of this commission, because I think it needs us to understand the powers and limitations of the Magistrates Commission, because they spoke there in Parliament and indicated that among the challenges that they have is the fact that they are not a permanent body. So it means they take out of their time to congregate and then see or look at some of these matters. So that alone, would it not say here, you've got a very important structure that unfortunately is not properly capacitated. They sometimes have certain individuals that would retire. They have evidence leaders that wouldn't pitch. So they're administrative issues, as they say, that have led to these delays.
But then again, it comes back to, they say people retire, people not rocking up as evidence leaders. Who appoint those evidence leaders? Who appoint the people that's going to retire? You as the people there, you know already a guy is going to retire in 5 years from now or 3 years from now. Why do you give him a role to actually be an investigator or a lead person in? Then you look at, is there a colleague who can actually be here around for the duration of this case? But after all, looking at the available time periods for the commission to work, is if there's a complaint, they have time to investigate. You can't tell me you investigate these serious complaints. It takes you 6 months to investigate them. Investigate them very quickly, make a report, table it before the entire commission, and the entire commission must then make a finding as to, is this something that we need to refer to the minister, and then he refers it to Parliament. And they can't even say we can't meet, because now these days we've got the platforms like Google Meet, Teams, Zoom, so you can make these online meetings. We don't need to congregate in one room to actually come to a decision to say, listen here. And I say it's just bad administration on their side and not really taking this matter serious, because for me, 31 million is 31 million too far down the line.
So you don't believe, at least their call, to have the commissioners be permanently employed there?
For me, if you permanently employ it, I think that would just now bring more problems. We're already spending 31 million rand on people that suspended. How much is it going to cost the taxpayer to actually get these guys there on a permanent basis? Because they know if they apply for these jobs as commissioners of these commissions, they need to avail themselves to make sure that these cases are running, because there's a lot of cases pending. And I mean, if you make yourself available as a commissioner, you need to then say that I need to work out my schedules so that it does not interfere with the work. That otherwise, if you want to be on the Magistrates Commission, then you must not overstretch yourself in other commitments.
Quite an interesting take there, but there are also aspects of the Labour Relations Act that could possibly slow down the process. Could this be the case as well?
That could be, but if we talk about the Labour Relations Act, then it would be to the affected person, the magistrate or magistrates that is being suspended. They can now exercise their rights in exercise the rights in terms of the Labor Relations Act. But I mean, if we look at Eric Nzimandi guy from KwaZulu-Natal, he's sitting there since 2018 already, I think, that he's been suspended. There's also the guy in Bloemfontein, Hinka, that has been suspended, I think, 2018 also. You can't tell me one case, 2018, we're approaching close to 10 years for a disciplinary hearing.
No, honestly, I think there would be some in society.
You cannot say to me.
No, there would be some in society that would share your views, that perhaps there is wasteful expenditure. But paint us a picture of the implications of indefinite suspensions if we look at the court processes. Because realistically, when one is on suspension, Alton, they're actually being paid for doing nothing. There's no vacancy that needs to be filled. So what essentially that means is that colleagues must share the work. Magistrate could become exhausted. That leads to sickness, absenteeism, and ultimately that limits citizens' access to justice because there wouldn't be enough magistrates to sit on the matter.
No, indeed. And I think there's an important one that you might maybe just not take cognizance of. But there's also, like, now you have the situation where contract magistrates is brought in to actually come and help with the caseloads. But that then again puts another burden on the taxman or the taxpayer. So that is also an aspect that comes in. Yes, you'll have colleagues with flooded court rolls. They have to sit in bail court. And I've seen magistrates sitting in bail court from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4:30, haven't done anything, haven't even had a chance to properly eat their lunch because of the clocked court rolls. And that is what these suspensions brings about if you don't deal with them decisively and timeously. And I think the Magistrates Commission, again, they need to make sure that they prioritize, especially the old cases, to say, listen, yeah, we make a decision, and if the guy wants to appeal our decision that we took internally, he's got his rights in terms of the Labor Relations Act. Why are they dilly-dallying for so many years on a case? It can't be.
Interesting, but I suppose at least Parliament as well is not taking some of the reasons that they're putting forward, and it's probably something that the Justice Ministry will have to look into, whether they make the structure permanent or perhaps they start just monitoring how fast or slow they finalize those cases. Alton, as always, thank you very much for joining us on the program. That was UJ Law Clinic's Elton Hart there sharing his views on the indefinite suspension of some magistrates.